All righty. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Marziti here with the Bullish Bears. Uh, we got well, what kind of day do we have? It's looking pretty flat right now, but the irony is yesterday was looking flat. Um, Yesterday was looking very flat, and yet, um, uh-oh, Jeremy's competing with me on the news, on the music. That's funny. All right. We expected yesterday to be flat, and then we had the leaked AMSL report, and there was the Biden announcement, and technology just went it straight into the crapper. Uh, you know, these are unforeseen events, and that's just the way it is. And everybody, except the people that leaked the reports and all that, got caught off guard. So if this big leak yesterday and Biden and all that, if that wrecked some of your made you stop out and all that kind of stuff, you got to realize it had nothing to do with you. It's just the way it is sometimes, and it goes both ways. There are days when news comes out that sends the market the complete opposite way. So, yeah, we get angry, we get mad, and all that kind of stuff. I had a couple of my short-termers get stopped out yesterday, and short-term holdings got stopped out, and, just the way it is. And we keep moving, and we looked at overall. Part of this is about diversity in your portfolios. And so if you've got that diversity, then, maybe one part takes a hit. The rest of it keeps chugging along, and then, we just absorb it. Remember, though, diversity is always a big factor. Okay, let's take a look at the markets here. Crude pivot points are tighter. Implied volatility a little bit lower. It's in a squeeze. We always see it's in a squeeze in the mornings, and that comes mostly from the overnight markets. However, yesterday went down. Let's just go ahead and blow this up. Come here. There you go. So we're looking at the hourly here. Crude had this big drop also, but this was from, what's today, Wednesday? This was from Monday. So unrelated to yesterday's drop, but you have a big move, and very often you have consolidation that follows, or you have a continuation of the move. This is actually kind of a little bit of both. We had a lot of consolidation here at the very beginning, and then the move continued, moved back into consolidation, and so on. So what does this tell us? This kind of tells us that they don't know what they want to do yet. They don't know, the institutions do not know what they want to do yet, or they're waiting on something. It could go either way. So, until, now, again, scalpers market here in this particular case, but, there's roughly about, if you were trading the full market, you got $1,000 movement range right in there from tops to bottoms. So it's tradable, sure, it's tradable, especially if we get down to the 1 minute. But just realize right now we're not seeing any indication of breakouts to come. This is not a pregnant pause, if you will. So, not too excited there. Same kind of situation when we look at the ES. We had the big move, and now we have, and then the move continued, and this big push down to grab liquidity from way over here somewhere, and now chop, 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 chop. Consolidation. No real news on the calendar today. So we're like, well, what do we, let's pop over and look at that news real quick. We think about news with the, we think about on the ES. The only thing that we really have, and we had that at 8:30, Nothing. That was a dud. Actually, it's kind of negative news, but it didn't do anything. Maybe some news from Japan. And if we look at tomorrow, retail sales, jobless right there. So tomorrow at 8:30 is where we're going to probably see our biggest news event to move the market. So there is an argument to be made here that we just chop in this range today. Still, it's going to move some when the full market opens, but how much it's going to move, we don't particularly know. Gold is a little bit more of an interesting story. We kind of see this, if you just kind of get this general idea of this slope right through here. Now, if you like to do day trading, you could say, notice this pattern. We have a push. We have some consolidation pullback, push, consolidation pullback. So if you were to try and get in, you could have a fairly decent tight stop, and you could get in on one of these pullbacks and let it ride. But however, when you have these kind of pullbacks, go in light. Always go in light sized, because this can still chop while it's in. We're trying to call the bottom here, and we don't know where the bottoms are. Look at this one here. As it went up, it rolled over, and we say, well, how far did it? Can we call the bottom on this? Well, the answer is no, because let's just pick this one here. Here it rolled up. It moved up, rolled over. Well, we could say, well, 50%. Didn't reach 50%. You'd say, well, maybe a Fibonacci or something like that. Who knows? Anyway, the point being is that we don't always know where to get in on these pullbacks. Now, this here, on this candle here, we did reach about a 50 of this candle right here. We did kind of reach of about a 50%. Just kind of pull back, not quite, and then it continued the move, and it's continuing the move, so it appears. So, yeah, you can on a long, again, this is hourly, so these are just kind of, if you get involved on an hourly trade, you set your stops, and you just go walk away and do something else, and they either trigger or, you're slowly grinding up. Now, that being the case, just looking here, let's say if you got in somewhere around the break of this candle right here, that would have put you at 26.84. And let's just kind of look around up here, 26.94.96. That's $1,200. So that's not bad for one full contract. But again, trending markets like this, you can always add in every time it makes a step, but just always go light on that very, very first, one, because we just simply don't know what's going to happen. So, what does that give us to work with today? Let me just be honest. There's not a lot. There just simply is not a lot until something happens. Let's go down to the 15, just see maybe we can get some more insight on this. Again, it looks like we're holding until tomorrow. And just look at this mess on the ES. This is awful. This will tear your account apart. See this thing going up and down, chop, 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 chop. This will tear your account apart unless you are a very skilled scalper. Because there's really not much in the way of a technical pattern here. Yeah, you can kind of say, well, I see a double top maybe kind of idea. No, maybe. If anything, it kind of looks like a bat. If I were freehanding a drawing or something. But at any rate, The point being is that this will just tear your account apart. Stay away from the ES until it makes a move or a decision. Of course, the NASDAQ looks the same. And if we look at the total market, it looks roughly the same. So we're going to have to just flat out wait until 9:30 happens, see if it gives us a clue about any kind of a move. There's no big news planned today. We do kind of look like we're waiting for reports coming out tomorrow with the jobless stuff coming out. Certainly you could look at playing the DeMarcs. Pardon. You could certainly look at playing the DeMarc sequencers here, especially when we look here, we're on the 15-minute now, and we see that it's, again, in squeezes and all. If you were playing DeMarc, here's the one down, here's two down. Take the break of the two down on the 3 candle. So if this goes back down below 58.64, you could enter a short there, possibly. You can have a 2, maybe 3-point stop. You say, well, what do I target? Well, you need to target the more obvious, bigger things. So we've got this down and back up right here. So that makes this a target here at 58.59. And of course, you got this down here. But to be quite honest, that would be, it's only 10 points. But look what happened. It came down and it got slapped all the way, they slapped it into tomorrow back the other way when they tried to run that thing down. So, yeah, you could probably try and run the DeMarc sequence. It's just with all this chop, because look here, you got a 1, you got a 2, you got a 3, you got a 4, you got a 5, you got a 6 that came all the way back out here, might have stopped you out. Then you had this huge, move here. But I'm just saying there's a lot of nervousness that you can see in here that you could have because you just don't know where it's going. Here you got this DeMarc 9 trigger, and which tells us we're supposed to go higher, but then we turn around and we took out that 9, and we are slowly grinding up. But, anyway, choppy day, absolutely choppy day. And so I'd say one or two things. We're going to either wait until 9:30. So we're going to wait till 9:30 and see if we get anything that moves there. We could certainly look at doing some trading on gold, trying to buy in on some of these pullbacks. But that's going to just be a set it, walk away, set your stops and walk away. Because this is like watching paint dry. You just sit there and you watch it and you watch it and you stare at it and nothing seems to be exciting happening. So we just say, set it, walk away. And it either plays or it doesn't. Now, certainly, a lot of times we oftentimes come over here and we look at Edgeful and we say, well, Edgeful give us that edge, right? Some chance of, let me just refresh this screen, give us some kind of an edge. And the answer is, statistically, but the thing you have to remember about something like Edgeful when we talk about statistics is it's averaging in very volatile days and it's averaging in very slow days. So we still have to look at the bigger picture. So even though, if we look at the ES and we say, how does that correlate to Asian sessions? Or, forget that. Let's just go on over to the orb. Where's the orb? Opening range breakout. We look at the orb here, weekday. Today is Wednesday. And let's just start working our way out from this, the 5-minute. Double breaks, 80% chance of a double break on the first 5 minutes. Kind of makes sense. Then let's come into the 15. Again, double breaks on the 15. Now, again, as I've talked about before, this is a potential trading strategy that when you so we mark out that first 15-minute high and low, we look for it to break one side, and possibly when it comes back into the orb, we trade in the opposite direction. We take the opposite trade, looking for that target to go to the other side. Now, the good and the bad, though, you have to understand is this is throughout the trading day. This is the New York session from 9 a.m. We can tighten that up from 9:30 to 4. We can move that into our time that we most likely trading from 9:30 until 11 Eastern. And we see, so let's go back actually, because let's go back to that 5-minute. So now that I've tightened up the trading window, okay, good strong double break possibility within the first 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Then then we see a slight edge in going long, but notice 38%, 34%. So not a statistical edge there. Absolutely not a statistical edge in that, because you got an equal chance of a breakout. However, here is the thought that you could set up with this. If it does in fact break out of the 15-minute orb to the north, if it starts to roll back towards the orb, you could play that with the reverse trade to the other side. That's an idea. I'll be honest, I don't do it, but it depends on what you kind of like on these kind of things. Let's look at the 30-minute. As we look at the 30-minute, we see that the breakout north is the stronger hand. But again, let's put it in context. We had a violent day yesterday. We're having a consolidation day today. And remember that statistics are based on averages. So is today one of the outliers? And we look at this and we say the pre-market kind of gives us the idea that today may be an outlier and that these statistics may work. But again, statistics average in, everything out, the violent and the choppy days. So keep that in mind when we think about the statistics. We are leaning statistically a little bit bullish, but we don't know 100%. We'll just have to see how it plays out. So, yeah, this is all crap. This is all crap right here in the pre-market. And I advise us to stay out of this until the markets open at 9:30. Go take you, the next half hour here and go chill or whatever it is you want to do and kind of thing. And, we'll just have to see. We just don't know. Obviously, we see here crude is kind of making some move here. Gold is grinding. Honestly, I just don't have a lot to talk about today. So we're going to look at probably winding this down. The big trade we're looking at is for tomorrow with unemployment numbers coming out. Has anybody got any questions? We got a few extra minutes here. Anybody want to look at anything? Let's do some quick chart analysis here. If somebody's got something they want to throw in the chat, or you can pop into the Discord and say something, we can certainly do that and take a look at it. Remember, like I say, as we talk about these kind of things, always remember that there are 10 dozen ways to mark up a chart. The question, what we're trying to do here is to get you where you can see something in the chart that you can see. Just because you don't trade it doesn't mean you shouldn't be aware of it. Looking at gold right here. Again, jump into the chat if you've got something you want to talk about or whatever. But let's just see here. here, here, here. So I've got a high, I've got a low, I've got a consolidation right here. Came back inside the box, and now we're trending outside of the box. So we've got trend, we've got box, we've got, what else can we see in here? Certainly we've got, okay, I see one right here. Here, okay, let me back that out. It's a little bit easier to see. What do we see right here? A flagpole. Right here. Kind of imagine, right about in here, a flagpole. Then we had a pennant. Y'all see that? Here's a pole, here's a pennant. Not a strong breakout of the pennant, but it did actually start walking this line out of the pivot. Then it comes back into the overall big trend line. So I'm not saying there's any trading strategy here necessarily, but it is something to say, let's be, one of Creedmoor's, I'm picking up stuff. I don't know if that's good or bad. But we do see a trend line here. We see a bigger trend line here that developed afterwards. I'm not saying these are necessarily trades, but they do help you by marking out the chart. You get an idea of what is the market doing and how you might, this can help you enter a trade. It can help you stay out of a trade. These are different things here. So, we see this pennant. This wasn't what I would call an out, because normally we would expect an explosive move out of the pennant. That's not the point. The point is, do you see it? Do you see it? That's the important thing. If you were following this kind of pennant idea right here, we would have said, actually this line wouldn't have been here at that time, and we would have drawn something like that, because we would have come in from these lows over here to this low here, giving me this line. And we see this close. So again, though, the point is not that it succeeded or failed. The point is, do you see it? And that's not saying you have to trade it either. Just want you to see it. Because it may help you. Now you can say, well, I'm a supply and demand trader. Okay, great. Let's take a look at supply and demand. Here's your demand. No. I mean, I don't see a lot here. Now Kevin would look at it and he'd say, oh yeah, I see one here, I see one there, but he specializes. So I'm not saying we have to specialize, but we do need to kind of get a general idea. I do see, for example, right here, a large chop box right there. You should see that large chop box right there. What about right here? Price got into here, choppity, choppity, chop. Large. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us that if price comes back to these zones, there's a good chance it's just going to chop around. And I'll tell you before, you can trade towards a chop zone, but do not take a trade from within a chop zone, because you can see it, stall. It came back into the box, came back into the box, came back into the box, and we get stopped out, stopped out, stopped out over and over and over. Which is another thing to say, that if you take one or two trades real quickly and you got stopped out on both of them, stop. Look at the chart and see if it's forming a chop zone. And if you see it, happened to me this morning, I was trading gold. And I took a trade, I got stopped out. few minutes later, chart started to look like it was moving the other direction. I took another trade. I got stopped out. I said, wait a minute. If I tried to go north, I got stopped out. I tried to go south, I got stopped out. Let me step back and look at it. And then I realized, okay, we're in a chop. I'm done trading with this. Done trading with this until it gets away from that chop. You see how that works? Hope you guys see that. All right. Anyway, short and sweet today. I'm going to go ahead and wind things down unless anybody's got something in particular want to talk about. Beyond that, yeah, I seriously see a bat here. Well, we are in October. So again, I would tell you that unless you have a trading plan, right now, I don't see doing anything with the ES. There's no money in it. Just because you see a trade set up does not mean there's any money in it. There's another nugget for the day. Not all trades have got profit in them. I don't care how good the setup looks, does not mean there's any profit in it. The SPY trade, again, just like the ES, don't bother today with that idea of the SPY gaps. I'm not going to bother until we see something happen here. Now, crude is starting to look interesting here because, let's go over here. Do you see it? Do you see it? First of all, let's work the chart from left to right. We do have a chop zone. Okay. We also have a box because we had a significant high, went to a significant low, moved back in 50%. So we would be looking for a break of that high there at, 3:15 in the morning Eastern to this low at 6:45. That's a long trade to wait for. There is a possibility there. There's a possibility of a box trade, but again, going to have to really wait that out. All right. You say, well, what about a box trade here? Is there a box trade? There is a box trade here. You can go from this low. Come here. Yeah, you could call that a box trade because we've got a low, we've got a high, and we've got to move roughly back to 50%. Sure. However, there's one problem that I really don't like about this box trade, and that is this is just all wick. This is nothing but all wick. If I were going to do that, I would not count this wick because it's just, you say, well, okay, then what do you count? I would I would start maybe here to here. Well, that gives you 10 points. So if it does break outside of the box, there could be 5 points of profit in it if we did the halfway mark. If you do it Jeremy's way, we would go by the bodies, and so we would go with from here to here. Again, now we're getting to the point that there's just not a lot of profit in this trade, because if we do make a 50% move, we're going to go from 61, 57-ish. Again, 4 points, not bad, but it is a tighter trade. And we do have a lot of chop going on here because we go from a low to a high, moved back inside the box, and so on. So there's definitely there. Obviously, you guys know that I like boxes because that's one of the main things that I see. But we also see, let's just take a quick look at this. You can say, well, it did break trend here. Let's take a look at that. And we had a nice trend. Okay, so we are, this trend was acting as support, broke trend. There's your break. Here's your retest. and your bounce is back off of it. The bounce counts if we go short, if we go south of this candle right here, which would put us around 58.62. So if we break 58.62 south, then you would call that a Busby, as Signet calls it. We could also call it the break retest bounce off of it. So there is a possible trade there short on ES, but again, it's not confirmed until we move on down past 58.62. All right. Okay, that's all we got for today. So I'm going to wrap up from here, and we'll, like I say, let's just wait till 9:30, see what happens. Hope you guys do well today. Be cautious today. And just remember, look at the bigger picture before you take a trade on the smaller one. With that, this is Marziti signing off here. Last minute things here. Shout out to Edgeville for giving us statistics. I don't think it's going to help us as much today, but again, it's a good platform as far as if you really, really nerd out on statistics. And of course, the Bullish Bears. Good folks over at the Bullish Bears, and come check us out on that. With that, this is Marziti signing out. You guys be good, or at least be good at it.